evening, fellow boxing fans, and welcome back to another prediction video. I would like to apologize for the delay in getting this video out. Life has kind of been crazy, but I'm just so glad that I finally get to put out more content. So without further ado, let's get into it. The fight I'll be covering in this video goes out to SLN 2208, I believe. But anyway, thank you for your request and for participating in the channel. But before I get into the breakdown and the prediction, please share, hit the like button, and as I always say, if you're watching, you might as well subscribe. So the fight that SLN 2208, that's SLN Fitness 2208, excuse me. But the fight they wanted me to cover is the Galveston Giant, Jack Johnson versus Smoking Joe Frazier. It's a very interesting fight with a lot of variables. You have to consider the times that they both fought in. You have to consider the conditions. And you have to consider the styles, always, of course. And like I said, there's many variables. So let's try to dig into those. The more I watch Jack Johnson, and as I did research on him, I realized that Jack Johnson fought in pretty harsh conditions. Basically fought limitless rounds and fought up to 40-some rounds. Correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, back then, they were fighting until someone dropped. So those conditions that Jack Johnson fought in could perhaps make him tougher, make him more durable, and make him have more stamina. That's one advantage I see for him in this particular fight. As far as Smoking Joe is concerned, I feel that Smoking Joe fought in one of the best heavyweight eras ever. I'll be honest, I feel that the 90s was the best heavyweight era and the 70s was the second best heavyweight era. That's up for debate. I love to debate that with anyone. There's really no wrong answer. But anyway, Joe Frazier's resume was stacked. Of course, his notable feud with the great Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Jerry Quarry, Buster Mathis, Oscar Benavina, and several others. But I do feel that boxing had advanced by the time Joe Frazier came along, and fighters were more defensive, more technical. They had better form. And I suspect that Joe Frazier hits harder than Jack Johnson. I'm not for sure. Wouldn't want to get hit by either one of them, but those are just my thoughts. So let's get into it. Who would win? Who would come out on top? Who would have the advantage? Now, Jack Johnson would enjoy a size and reach advantage in this fight, had tremendous reflexes, not to mention devastating power. But Joe Frazier had everything else. Joe Frazier had head movement. He had speed. He had footwork. He had pressure. He had devastating power of his own and the best left hook in the history of boxing, in my humble opinion. Joe Frazier was a powerhouse. So this fight is going to come down to skills. It's going to come down to who's more technically sound. I think you see where I'm going here. To tell you the truth, Jack Johnson was good for his time, and what he did and his style of fighting, even the size of the gloves and his stance worked for his time, but I don't think that would work in later eras of boxing, especially the 60s and the 70s, because boxing had evolved so much during that time. And of course, Smoking Joe Frazier is a product of that era. And so I just feel that Joe Frazier is the more refined fighter. He's the more technically sound fighter. And he has better punch placement, better defense, if I didn't already say better defense. And so I'm going to go with Smoking Joe Frazier by decision. Jack Johnson was tested. And so I'm not going to give this to Joe Frazier by knockout, but he does win it. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know what you think. See you soon.